Fine, welcome to this training about a magnificent painting by Sandro Botticelli, Mars and Venus. First of all, we are going to watch a short video One, a work with deceptive appearances. In this famous painting by Botticelli, Mars and Venus, nothing is left to chance. At first glance, it is a mythological scene. The god Mars lies, conquered by love, next to the beautiful Venus. But in reality, this work is a palimpsest. It layers several coded stories, accessible only to those initiated into the mysteries of Hermeticism. Chapter 3. Mars equals Jesus. Venus equals Mary. The god. Sleeping Mars represents Christ after the crucifixion. His foot is already slipping into a pink shroud. Beside him, Venus embodies the Virgin Mary in her Dormition, her mystical death, prelude to the Assumption. The bushes in the scene symbolize death on the left, resurrection on the right. Chapter 4. The battle against Pan-Satan. Under Christ's elbow, a satyr emerges from hiding. This grotesque Pan embodies Satan, defeated by the cross. Christ touches Pan's flute, signifying his victory over the pagan cults demonized by the church. Chapter 5. Saint George, protector of the Virgin. On the left, a satyr bears the helmet of Mars, but in the esoteric reading, he becomes Saint George. He protects the Virgin and vanquishes evil, represented by the small demon under the arm of Christ. Chapter 6. The Annunciation of Gabriel. The satyr in the center looks at Venus gently. He symbolizes the Archangel Gabriel making the Annunciation. He acts in the month of March, and the god Mars, close to him, indicates this. His tail, with 3 branches, evokes the Holy Trinity. Chapter 7. Raphael and the Last Judgment. Finally, the third satyr, blowing into a horn, embodies Raphael, messenger of the Last Judgment. He heals the blind of body and spirit. His horn announces the end of times. Chapter 8. The hidden myth of Leda and the Botticelli sign goes even further. It hides a sign in the folds of Venus's dress, alluding to Leda and Zeus. The 4 satyrs then become the children from this divine union. Helen, Clytemnestra, Castor, and Pollux. This risky pagan and Christian syncretism at the time is reserved for the initiates. Chapter 9. An inaccessible virginity. The hand of Venus closes her garment. She makes herself inaccessible to man. She is destined for God. This gesture reinforces the image of a pure virgin, mystically impregnated. Chapter 10. A work for the initiated. Mars and Venus is not just a painting of ancient love. It is a coded message, a work to be read as a secret revelation, a masterpiece meant for those who know how to see. All right, so I will emphasize Saint George, the myth of Saint George, and the myth of Leda. In the video, I explained to you that there is indeed a hidden sign in the fabric of the dress. It's a direct reference to the myth of Leda and the Swan. It's a story that informs us, that tells us that a god, the supreme god, Zeus, was in love with a nymph, a goddess named Leda. He tried to approach her several times, but she was not interested. After a while, Leda had enough. and she transformed into a swan to hide. The swan, the bird. Isn't it? It's a bird, the swan. The supreme god Zeus, knowing everything, seeing everything, he understood her ruse, obviously, and transformed himself into a swan too, so into a bird. And so he managed to seduce her in this state, in this transformation. From their union were born 4 children who will change the history of ancient Greece. Botticelli is used to putting signs everywhere, especially in the 4 mythologies, which are 4 paintings. Here you see the peck, which is signified, which is indicated. By the fold of the fabric, I added an eye, so you can imagine what is hidden under the clothing. That is to say, the head of the bird. And then you have the tail of the bird, of the swan, Leda's swan. Now we are going to see another painting of Botticelli, which is called Palace and the Centaur. I made a tracing. Here you see the tracing I made at the request of Italian academics who needed more details. There you go. So you see, there is a swan at the bottom, right? There are arrows pointing to the head and the body. I also added an eye so that everyone can visualize. Here is the painting. And now you can clearly see the swan. It's in the green fabric. So this swan refers to the myth of Leda, the nymph Leda. It indicates a divine conception that took place. And systematically, in the 4 mythologies by Sandro Botticelli, the swan indicates that a divine fertilization has occurred. There. So in the mythological story, it is Leda who was impregnated, and in the biblical story, it is the Virgin Mary Here is Leda. This is a painting by one of the best students of Leonardo da Vinci. And yes, he painted Leda. Leda is at the center of everything, all the paintings of Botticelli, but also Leonardo da Vinci. It's also a reference to alchemy. The chemical wedding. This is called the chemical wedding in alchemy, which is the result of the fusion, the union of 2 chemical substances in the alchemist's furnace. We call this a chemical wedding. In the video, it is indicated to you that the fabric of the dress is closed by the fingers of Mary, who is also Venus. It is closed with the fingers to indicate that Mary is not accessible to men. She is closed to men. There is only one God who can fertilize her. Okay, that's why with her fingers, she closes the fabric. And you find this gesture of closing again in another painting by Sandro Botticelli, who is Venus emerging from the waters. I will make a video about that too. Okay, I have finished with the myth of Leda. And now we will quickly look at the myth of St. George. Here is a painting by Paolo Uccello, very great Italian painter. In any case, Italian painters have always been great painters. And the myth of St. George, which must be of pagan origin, was Christianized. St. George is a knight who slays Satan, represented by the dragon, to save a woman. He is the protector of women. He is the savior of women. And here you see one of the satyrs who wears the helmet of Mars, the god Mars, yes. But it is also St. George's helmet. And you notice that he is holding a lance. It is the knight's lance, isn't it? Here, it's the knight's lance, okay? So, you are going to tell me, but where is the dragon coming out of the cave? Where is the dragon coming out of the cave? Look carefully at the bottom right. You have another satyr coming out of a sort of cave. He is under the arm of Jesus Christ, who is also Mars, the god Mars, and he symbolizes the dragon. There you go. I think we've covered it. Well, a little, because there are so many hidden symbols in this painting that we would need a little hour. Like for all the mythologies of Sandro Botticelli, it would take 1 hour, 2 hours per painting to reveal all the hidden codes, the hidden hermetic codes in these paintings. I think that's enough. Thank you for following this training, and I look forward to seeing you soon for another video.